Now we have the full schedule, the full go of it. We're seeing the full of it all. You've seen it. You've heard about it. If you have not, real quick, and one thing I was taught a lot early in this is don't just assume everybody knows what you're talking about. The schedule, if you missed it, they kick things off in L.A. to face the Rams, then come home on Monday night to get the Buccaneers. They face the Jags on the road in Week 3. Then they face Tennessee at home. Then they take on the Ravens, the Bugaboo on the road. Then they have a early Week 6 bye. We'll get into that later. And then they go to Monday Night Football again at Seattle. And then they start that run of 3 in a row right here at NRG against the Niners, the Broncos, and the Jags. And then they go to Tennessee, the Titans, and then come back home on Thursday Night Football to face the Buffalo Bills. They go to Indianapolis after that. Sunday Night Football on the road in Kansas City. And then they play 2 in a row here against the Cardinals and the Raiders. And then they finish up in L.A. against the Chargers. That could be a big game with two teams that may be competing for things. And then at home against the Indianapolis Colts. So that is the 17-game schedule for those who have not heard it. 713-572-4610. You can jump in as well as you on YouTube and Twitch. You can respond and communicate that way as well. Clint, just overall, now that you see the whole thing and how it shapes up, what are you seeing about this schedule? What jumps out?
Well, look, I think the schedule gods were nice to us down here in Houston. I mean, this thing could have played out, even though we knew the opponents. It could have played out in a way where you have Murderers Row. We did not get that. It could have played out in a way where we didn't get any primetime games. We got 4. It could have played out to where the bye week was, late season. So you got this long season with training camp at the beginning, and it seems like forever before you get to the bye week. And look, it could have been much more difficult the way it laid out, man. And so I think overall, from a 30,000-foot view, just to kick this thing off, I thought the Texans, I thought they landed in a really nice place with their schedule. I thought they landed in a really nice place several different times. It's 3 games in 10 days.
No.
There's no stretch of 3 opponents where you're playing 3 of the best quarterbacks in the game. There's no stretch where in 7 of 8 weeks you're playing 7 of the best quarterbacks in the game and 4 Hall of Famers. And so, I mean, yeah, I think overall, man, the schedule gods were friendly to the Houston Texans. Now, we obviously got to break this thing down, a little bit more extensively. But I think overall, if we're just given a 1-minute soundbite, man, the schedule gods were friendly, and the Texans didn't run into any buzzsaws here schedule-wise.
Yeah, I think with the exception of a couple of things, I think it did. I think it worked out great. You got one cold game, and that's in Kansas City. The rest of them, Clint, late, you are either here in the Dome at NRG, or you're in L.A., or, you're in a dome in Indy. There is, like, you are in outside of November 16th in Nashville, which, I would assume ain't going to be like 10 degrees or something. You are, you're a pretty good spot, good shape in terms of weather and everything. So that works out for you. And I think the point you mentioned, all of their tough games, if you look in there and you say, all right, we knew on the schedule they play Kansas City, they play Baltimore, they play Buffalo, right? Like those are the 3 that really jump out when you saw what the schedule was. And to the point you're making, Clint, all of those games are surrounding before or after that you feel like you should probably either be favored or very winnable games. Like when the first one, you play Baltimore, the week before you play Tennessee at home, and then the week after is a bye. Like there's no, as you said, Murderers Row. You play Buffalo the week before that, it's Tennessee. The week after that is Indy. You play the Chiefs the week before it is the Colts. The week after it is the Cardinals at home. So like none of it stacks. What you said, the toughest stretch may be what? Buffalo, at Indy, at Kansas City, in Arizona. If you like that may be the toughest stretch. I saw Dallas, Clint, in the second half of the season. They have a stretch where they go to Philly, host Kansas City, go to Detroit, host Minnesota, and then play the Chargers and then the Commanders. Like that, the Texans don't have any of that on their schedule. So I think overall, outside to me, the only thing that I don't love is the bye week. But outside of that, Clint, I mean it's a pretty workable schedule for this team that's playing a first place schedule.
Yeah, the Texans are going to benefit from playing in a crappy division, no doubt about that. Where the Cowboys and the Eagles and Baltimore and Kansas City, they're not going to benefit from that. The Texans have that luxury. I think when you talk about tough stretches on this schedule, I think there's two of them. I do think out of the gate, the first 5 games, you've got the Rams, the Bucks, and the Ravens in 3 of your first, obviously very important because they're division games. So that 5-game stretch right there leading into the bye week, I think it's going to be a tough stretch. And I think we know a lot about our Houston Texans when that bye week hits, right? You're going to have faced Baltimore, who you know who that is, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, as physical in offense as you're going to find, and a really, really solid to great defense, depending on what they look like in 2025. You look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We talked about it yesterday. You know, when you look at that receiving core, they're potentially, depending on how the first-round draft pick out of Ohio State, depending on how he plays, they potentially could be one of the top 3 to 5 receiving cores in the league, and Baker Mayfield will sling that thing down the field. So, that's going to be a challenge. And then we talked about the Rams with Devontae Adams and Puka and McVay calling plays and Stafford throwing it down the field. Those are going to be 3 big-time challenges. They're all going to be different challenges, I think, for DeMeco Ryans' defense and really for the team as a whole. So we're going to know a lot about these guys when that bye week hits. That first 5 games is going to be a tough stretch. And then I think, as you said, the Buffalo on Thursday night, Indy away, and then Kansas City Monday night. Those 3 games right there, I think, because Indy, to me, is going to be the best team opposite the Texans in the division.
They're a wild card, depending on what kind of team they're going to be.
So I think that 3-game stretch in terms of just back-to-back-to-back opponents or back-to-back primetime and away games, that stretch right there could be could be a little bit rough. But, again, I mean, you got to really dig to find those tougher stretches. And the way the schedule, to me, when you talk about the schedule ends this year – with 3 of 4 games being at home. It's Arizona, Vegas, L.A. Chargers, and Indianapolis Colts. 3 of the 4 at home. Teams that you should be either neck and neck with or favored. I think it sets up nicely if the Texans need to win, 3 of their last 4, or God forbid, whatever, however many 3 games they have left, they got to win all 3 of them to get in, kind of deal.
If it's tight,
it's tight. Yeah. So I think those stretch runs, whether you're talking about the difficult ones or the easy ones, I think again it worked out in the Texans' favor.
Yeah. Text line coming through. Those of you on YouTube and Twitch, your thoughts here on the schedule. Someone texted in, we'll be 3-2 after the first 5 games. You could be. I think they're better than 3-2 in those first round games. Those first 3. I think they potentially beat the 2 division teams. You got to feel good about that. And then I think they probably at least get one of the. I don't think they're going to go 0-3 against the Rams, Bucks, and Ravens. I think they at least get one of those games, if not maybe a couple of them. So I think they could do better. They could be 4-1. If they're 4-1, like you said, that really sets up for them moving forward throughout.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is we're going to know, right? If you're 4-1, if you're 3-2, we're good. If you're 4-1, we are absolutely stoked in Houston, right?
Run away
now, if you're sitting at 2-3, we're concerned about whether it's the O line or injuries have plagued, or CJ's not playing as well. Nick Caley's not being the weapon on the sideline that you hope your offensive coordinator is. There's something wrong. The key there is, and I'll be honest with you, I don't have a feeling one way or the other, Ron, to be honest with you. I don't know if we're going to be 4-1. I don't know if we're going to be 2-3. I have no idea. I honestly don't. I'm straddling the fence here big time, so get ready. I don't know what to think about this team. I mean, you've got some major, major issues on the offensive side of the football that could potentially be good, but could also potentially be bad enough to where it won't matter how good DeMeco Ryans in the defense is, right? I mean, you could really have those level of issues. So, we'll see. But the good thing is we'll find out early.
All right, coming up, I do want to bring some of the people in here a little bit in the next segment, but where are you at now as you look at the schedule? Let's just get it out the way. Where are you at now record-wise, right? You asked me yesterday during Dirty's Daily. I said, well, let me look at the full schedule. Let me pull it up. Let me look at the full schedule before we get to wins, and you can participate. And as I said, we will open up the phone lines next segment, and we will hear from you. But if you want to text in or send it in on YouTube and Twitch, you can. As you look at that schedule, and we went through it and we talked about it, yes, this appears to be favorable, especially when you compare it to other teams, especially other teams that had first-place schedules like the Texans. This is a schedule that feels workable. Now that you see how it's laid out, in terms of record with this team, now that you have the schedule.
I got 9 wins.
That's what you said.
I got
yesterday.
9 wins,
and you still at 9.
Yeah, I got 9, and like I said, I honestly, man, I like this is. I want to feel really good about my Texans, but there's too many pieces offensively that I just check up and go, oh, I'm just not really. That make me nervous. Let's put it that way. There's, and we can go game by game at some point in time if you'd like, but I do think they're going to be the best team in the division. I don't think they sweep the division. I mean, I got over my skis yesterday talking about I think they dominate the entire division and win. I don't think they're 6-0 in the division. I think they end up 4-2 in the division.
Oh, you got 2 losses.
Yeah, I got
1 last year.
I got 2 losses in the division, and you know I think the rest of the way you got a first place schedule, man. So you got some absolute monsters there. I'm going 9-8 on the season, and it's a dogfight down the stretch to see who wins the division.
So you think this is a tight race?
Yep.
And I'm guessing, as you said earlier, to guess kind of put it together, the Colts. You think the Colts are going? It's going to be a tight race with the Colts down the stretch.
Yep, absolutely. And I think both teams in this division. Again, while I still have the Texans as the best team in the division, I don't think the gap is as wide as it once was. I think the gap has closed a bit, and I do think Jacksonville's better. And I do believe that
Indy is.
that Tennessee's better as well. I think Cam Ward. And year 2 with Callahan and some of the pieces that they've added defensively I think they don't have Will Levis. I don't think they're gonna have Will Levis back there. It's gonna give games away throughout the season.
That's the one game they lost in the division.
Yeah. I mean that's where I'm going with this is like that the Titans year 1 Callahan with Will Levis trying to lose the game, they won. So I just don't think that gap is as wide as we think that it is. And so maybe C.J. Stroud year 3, maybe Nick Caley is a bigger game changer as we think. But I mean from a talent standpoint, this is a lesser football team on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll see what Nick Caley can do.
I got 10-7.
You got 10, okay.
I got 10-7, and I've looked at it multiple. I've gone through these, as you said, game to game. I've looked at it multiple times. I do think one of the division teams gets them in this thing. One of the road games, I do think gets them. But they're 10-7. It feels like a 10-win team, and I think they will win the division with double-digit wins. So I got them at 10-7. It's weird, man. They've got some weird things with this schedule. There's some unpredictable teams that I can't tell, like, what are they gonna be? Like I get, you get the feeling when you look at Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore. I feel like I know what they're gonna be. Tennessee, I feel like they may be improved some, Clint, but I feel like I got a feel of what Tennessee's gonna be. I don't know what San Francisco team. Where I look at it right now today, I would say the Texans should be a better football team than the Niners. But the Niners have been one of the best teams in football the last several years, and they've had a ton of injuries. Like, what is Kyle Shanahan and them? Like, what are they going to be? Like the Chargers. Like, what are they going to be? What does Pete Carroll and Geno Smith make for the Raiders? Right? Like, the Cardinals. The Cardinals kind of surprised a little bit last year. They just got some teams on this schedule where it's like, I can't quite like Seattle. What's Seattle now with Sam Darnold? Like, I can't quite pinpoint how good those teams are. So they got a weird grouping of teams that you don't really have a clear view of what they're going to be. So it's an interesting schedule. But
I think a bunch of those are going to be absolute dogfights, Ron. When you look down at San Francisco, Denver, Arizona, Vegas, L.A. Chargers, like I think that is where the Texans lie right now. Can they separate themselves?
Yeah.
Can they win more of those than they lose? Because there's some teams that are coming, man. I mean, Denver's got a chance to be a problem. That defense is nasty.
No, it is. Yeah, Denver's another one. Like, how much are they ascending?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
who's ascending faster, right?
Yes.
You got a bunch of those.